What's up, everybody? It is a Blue Drake, and today I want to talk about the absolute best thing about Battlefield 2042. I have the game. I've been playing the early access version of it, although granted, I'm not really into these whole pre-order for early access things. I think it's kind of just a way to goat people into paying more money than they should, but Battlefield Portal has been really fantastic. This is probably the most fun I've had in Battlefield for a long time. And there are still a number of issues with it. For instance, you have the ability to create your own quote-unquote experiences, but not only is the ability to control the experiences a little bit more limited than I think they let on, in addition to that, you can only host experiences through cloud-based servers, and right now, you can't really host any additional servers because the servers are maxed out for this game, which is kind of lame. So you buy the game, you go into Battlefield Portal, you try to spin up a server, and then it just says you can't because there's too many Battlefield servers right now, which don't know how they didn't plan for that, but whatever. But besides the bugs, besides the issues, I have to say, this is something that Battlefield has needed for a long time, and while unfortunately I think the only reason EA even included this is because there's a lot of other things that were going to make this happen, whether they wanted it to or not. Venice Unleashed, for instance, and many other competing games that are making similar features and more sandbox styles of gameplay possible more and more. So I don't think this is something that EA would have done if they weren't forced to do it. Regardless of that, it's still pretty freaking great. And I hope that this is just going to be the beginning of them doing this and not just a single experimental phase that they drop and never look back at. Because I think that this could be something big if they wanted it to be. So hopefully they're gonna want it to be. Now, there's lots of different things you can do in Battlefield Portal. Obviously, you have all of these different types of maps from all different theaters of war. Not every single map from every single Battlefield game, mind you, but enough where, it's a very welcome addition to the game. So, for instance, playing on maps like this, where you've got like a World War II map from back in the day, but you now have it with Modern Warfare, it's pretty freaking sick. I actually like it a lot. Now, some of the things that I am kind of frustrated with, as you can see here, I'm playing without my heads-up display, but you don't have as much control over the heads-up display as you even had in previous games. Battlefield 4 had a really awesome heads-up display customization system, which I don't know why they ever got rid of that. It is not in this version of the game, and it should be, since this is, the version of the game that's heralded as like the most modifiable version that's existed since BF3, which is true. Other than Venice Unleashed, I guess we're just, but EA doesn't like to acknowledge the existence of that. And I have to say, I am not a big fan of the 2042 user interface. Honestly, it's pretty bad. I don't like it at all. There's big, giant bars that come down from the top of the screen every time you capture an objective. That's super lame. Everything else, it feels really, it's a professional UI. It flows, it's functional, but it just doesn't look like a Battlefield UI. It feels out of place. It feels way too like cyberpunk. That's what it is. It's like a cyberpunk UI in a tactical shooter, which is very odd. It's very odd, especially when you're playing like Battlefield Portal with World War II, except you've got all of these cyberpunk UI elements. This is weird. And since there's not much fine-tuned control with how you can customize the UI in Battlefield Portal, at least not to my knowledge so far, I'm still digging into it myself. But since it's kind of like an on-off thing, you can't really take the good parts of it and then get rid of the parts that are kind of obnoxious. You can get rid of like the weapon modification, like the in-field weapon modification menus, but besides that, there's not too much granular. Did you see that? You see that thing that comes down from the top of the screen? That's awful. That sucks. I hate that. That is bad. That is, it's like, look at that. That's horrible. Super immersion breaking. Not into that at all. So I feel like if Battlefield Portal really wants to be what it could be, like just the most amazing thing in the world, hopefully they are only going to improve the ability of customization and modularity and modification. That would be great. Obviously, there are things like Fortnite's creative mode. Fortnite's creative mode runs rings around this, and there's lots of other things from Roblox to Core to Arma to a lot of other emerging games, especially games that are trying to tap into the whole metaverse thing. And, you know, even though nobody really knows what the heck metaverse means, a lot of people, how they interpret it is like it's just a seamlessly integrated environment where you can go from place to place with all of these different, you know, modular, modified experiences, you know, like Roblox. I feel like Roblox is a great example of, quote-unquote, like, the beginning of a metaverse. And I think Battlefield could be that. Battlefield could actually be that if they wanted to. I think Battlefield Portal proves that this is possible, even though Battlefield Portal is just like an inkling of what they could do or what they could allow if they wanted to. So we'll just have to see. But I gotta give credit where credit is due. Right now, I'm loving this. I'm loving the concept. The execution is still getting there. It's not perfect. The fact that I can't host an experience. See, that's because that's the problem, right? It's online only. Battlefield Portal is online only. Even though there's bots and AI, that's cool that you can fight against AI. But if you can only fight against AI if you start an online experience or an online server, and then it stops you from starting a server because there's too many, that's pointless. That's pointless. So I hope they fix that. All right, besides that, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I love you. Cheers.